Hi, I'm DJ Ware, and this is another drama video. I am sorry. I wish this would stop. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to present the facts, and then at the end, I'll tell you what I think about it. What's the deal? So Fedora 40, the Red Hat Display Systems team, has developed a proposal. And it's a request that they are putting forward to the community, and that is to have privacy preserving telemetry for Fedora Workstation that is system-wide. In other words, they want to collect anonymous Fedora Workstation usage metrics so that they can use that to help them plan for the future. So they don't want to violate any user privacy, and they only want to collect aggregate usage metrics that are actually needed to achieve a specific Fedora improvement objectives and nothing more. Users will have the option to disable the data upload before any data is sent for the first time. However, you should understand that that also means that they will be recording and storing data just in case you decide that you're going to permit it to go. So I don't know what happens. I guess I've looked at the way Endless does this, and Endless gives you a question like you get when you first start up. You go through all of the post install steps, and so during the post install, they ask you what you want to do with the data. Do you want to send it? Do you want to keep it? Whatever. So I assume it'll be something like that. Our service will be operated by Fedora on a Fedora infrastructure. They're not going to be depending on Google Analytics or any other controversial third-party services. And then they're also going to give you a procedure, I guess, where you can redirect that data collection to your own private metrics server, and there you can play around with the data and look at what's being gathered for yourself. The intention is to display and use the Endless OS metrics. That's where it's coming from. There is a number of details about that. So what kind of things do they collect? Well, they collect records and events associated with Flatpaks, with traditional apps, and they also collect machine information, memory and use, disk space and all that kind of stuff. So there's also events that they record that track the installation, when was the last time the app was updated, and what kind of failures that the app has had during its life on your system. So the events are kept in what happens when your system is disconnected from the network. So the events are kept in a ring buffer. Once you're back on the network, it'll transmit that immediately over the network to the Fedora servers. The way they tie the records together is with something they call an OS image ID. So the events are only marked with this aggregate OS image ID. And then it's sent up to the servers there. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that works. Azafea has also a component called eos-phone-home. I think they wrote that for Canonical originally. I don't know if Canonical is still using it or not. I just don't know. So which runs on so this eos-phone-home, that component, if you have Endless, that runs on your system, and they do use it. So it collects the same kind of data as Fedora's DNF Count Me system. Yeah. So in there, there is hardware information about what machine ID you have, what model number of probably your motherboard, maybe your machine itself, if it was an integrated system that you bought. It would also have your CPU type, and also the model number, perhaps even its how fast it was running. Probably some other information about country codes as to which country you were in, because that's all carried today. And then it also contains geo-IP information. That includes your IP number, your latitude, and your longitude. But eos-phone-home discards that IP before storing it, even though they've got your lat long what do they say about that lat long in particular? Well, Endless says the geo IP information is only accurate to 1 degree in longitude and 1 degree in latitude. So that's a box of about 75 miles. However, they're saying 55 kilometers, so I don't get that. But all right, so maybe it's not as accurate as 1 degree. Maybe it's less. Maybe it's more accurate, actually. So Fedora says that the telemetry collection that they want, they don't need that piece, that EOS, and so they won't be using it. The other thing that Fedora proposes, that if the privacy tab that is in your settings, so whether that's on GNOME or that's on KDE, if you go to the privacy tab, in there you can opt out of the telemetry collection. And so that data will be deleted at that point that has been collected, because initially, no matter what you do, it starts collecting data. But once you opt out, if you go into privacy and you say, nope, I don't want this, they delete the data that was collected and they shut down the services that transmit the data. Azafea data collection consists of 5 components. There's an Azafea metrics proxy, which I think is where it uses the OS image ID to aggregate things together. There's Redis, which kind of is a metrics server. And then you have Azafea itself, and then their permanent storage, which is the Postgres database. They use an Nginx proxy to receive the HTTP request, which allows them to split off and remove the IP address. Azafea data collection consists of a number of components. I think there's 3. EOS metrics, that's a dbus interface, and that basically intercepts events from applications and services. And that just records events like startup, shutdown, then they can calculate how long it was up. Also, I would assume error events would also trigger a dbus message as well. So EOS event recorder daemon, once the metric has happened, EOS metrics, I assume, passes it off to the recorder, and the recorder then stores it someplace. There's also an EOS metrics instrumentation. That's like a filter that decides what events to keep and which ones not to use. The Fedora team says that currently the approval of what elements they're going to collect will be decided by us, the Fedora Community process. And then final approval will be done by the Fedora Executive Community Board, both for what data elements will be collected and whether or not they approve that this should be put in Fedora 40. So that they're saying that the proposal is the collection of telemetry is opt-out, not opt-in, although that's not exactly true. You don't get any choice initially when it stores it. So it's neither opt-in or opt-out. It's just you get it, and it's going to store telemetry. The opt-in part is whether or not you approve that it can be sent to their servers. I don't know if it's a one-time only message that you get, or whether you can let that go on for a while, hold on to it, and then decide later that, okay, I want to turn this off. Or if you reboot your machine, what happens is it say, oh, well, he didn't answer it, so I'll answer it for him. Yeah, the definition of this initially, that's what bothers me a little bit. This whole idea behind it should be opt-in or opt-out, I think it doesn't matter what choice it is. It's just a terrible idea, period. I don't like this idea at all. Whether you choose to make it opt-in or opt-out, I think it should just be forget it. Privacy preserving telemetry. Well, I got problems with all 3 of those words. The first is the preserving and telemetry part, or I should say privacy and telemetry part, is an oxymoron. Those are diametrically opposed. Preserving, if you're capturing telemetry, you've already said you don't respect privacy. The other thing that I would be curious about is, what is the retention period on this data? The second question I have is, how are you transmitting it? And then how are you using it? And my specific question here is it encrypted? Do you keep the data encrypted? And then once you decide to dispose of it, how do you dispose of it? Anonymized collection, there's no such thing. If you're collecting enough elements, I can piece it together and find out who it was. Google does that all the time. So anyway, that's all I had. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.